Utah football, man. So when it comes to Utah, another messy and drama-filled situation of a longtime coach moving on in the state.
Yeah.
It seems like we did this already with Coach Sloan, and here we are with a tea being spilled with Whittingham's departure drama.
Yeah, it really has been too.
Yeah.
I mean, at first it seemed really harmless.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a pretty mutual departure, but it seems like quite a few of the details have come out since then, huh?
Absolutely. Let's get into that. When it comes to this, I want to break down the timeline. I think that's kind of crucial that we kind of
Yeah.
identify this. Now, you've probably read the stories. You've probably seen everything out there about this being kind of a messy split. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So Whittingham coaches his final regular season game in a 31-21 win over Kansas, finishing the season 10-2. On December 2nd, Whittingham's agent informs Utah that he does not plan to retire and seeks a salary raise of over $9.6 million, expects another $2 million for his coaching pool, and is requesting $20 million in NIL funding. This is on December 2nd. December 12th, Whittingham formally announces his decision to step down as head coach for the Utes. Now, right there, between those two things, I think is a key piece that we need to hit on, right?
Yeah.
And that is, after Whittingham's agent submitted to the University of Utah what he would like,
Mm-hmm.
the University of Utah came back with a counteroffer.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the key thing that I wanted to touch on that really kind of tells the story here and really kind of puts you in a position where you understand where the Utes are coming from, right? So the Utes made the counteroffer to Coach Whitt. The salary increased to $8 million for the 2026 season instead of the $9 to $9.6 million range that Whittingham wanted. More importantly, there was the piece of the loss of control. This deal includes that would require that Whittingham cedes control of the program to the defensive coordinator / coach in waiting, Morgan Scalley. Recruiting and personnel limitations. Morgan Scalley would also have full and final oversight on overall recruiting of players, personnel, and will be the team's general manager.
Right.
Future staffing. Scalley would actually have complete authority over any decisions impacting the program beyond 2026. The Utes required that a senior administrator chosen by the athletic director would be housed full-time within the football facility. I think that was the dagger for Coach Whitt. And again, there's also a termination clause that if Whitt violated any of these terms, he would be faced with a $500,000 fine for the first violation and termination within the second violation. So obviously, Whittingham did decline this offer, leading to his resignation on December 12th, 2025. A subsequent separation of contract, basically an addendum kind of came into there, which was the Utes would be paying him $13 million for separation, part of the agreement of his previous contract. So again, that all went down kind of around the December 12th. That's when he found out the counter option, and instead of just doing the negotiation, there was just a flat out, okay, Whittingham is formally announcing his decision to step down as head coach for the Utes. On the December 13th, the University of Utah promoted Morgan Scalley officially to be named the next head coach of the University of Utah, and then expecting Whittingham to stay on in a more advisory role.
Right, absolutely.
Right? This is on December 13th. Now, right around that time, I believe this is December 17th, or right around that time. I don't have the exact date on that one. Sorry, my notes I skipped that part on the date. But anyway, Michigan fires head coach Sharon Moore after his arrest, and then Whittingham emerges as a top candidate. On December 26, 2025, Michigan announces Kyle Whittingham is their new head coach.
That was the worst Christmas present ever, by the way.
And then Whittingham, and then late December 2025, Whittingham abandons his plans to coach the Vegas Bowl on December 31st to start at Michigan immediately. Now, why is that part initially important? Why is that particular part important?
Well, I mean, it showed you that he was ready to move all the way away from the University of Utah.
Right. Now, the Utes are definitely unhappy with the way this was handled.
Oh, yeah.
With the situation. So when the athletic director made the first payment. He also accompanied it with a payment of $8 million, with the payment of $8 million, the first part of this $13 million severance deal that they had. He included a letter, and the letter basically kind of just stated that they were not happy with how Coach Whittingham handled the situation.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be a smooth transition of power from Whittingham over to Morgan Scalley, and basically just kind of abandoning the team for the during the bowl game was not how they wanted to be handled.
Right.
So that kind of left a sour taste in the mouth for the University of Utah.
Yeah.
So basically just kind of just starts how there's basically feelings on both sides that basically made it kind of, there's a little bit of animosity between the two and creating this whole drama filled scenario. Now, I kind of talked about my key piece there on why I think things went sour pretty quickly with this discussion. And given, I work full remote, and I have a lot of people I work with that are, outside of this bubble, right? Outside the Utah bubble. And the question I get the most of from anybody I talk to outside of Utah is, if Coach Whittingham was willing to still coach, why isn't he not coaching in Utah?
The reason that he's not coaching at Utah is because the AD, Mark Harlan, had come to terms fully. He thought that Kyle Whittingham's career here had plateaued. He had taken this team as far as he could possibly take it. There was no further up that he could go. He thought that there was probably more potential. And at that time, Jason Beck, he thought, we've got the right offensive coordinator. The offense looked fantastic last year. Morgan Scalley's done a great job with the defense for years. We're good with the way that is. Obviously he's going to replace that somebody. We know Colton Swan's going to be a great person to take that role over. This football program is in a better position if we can use Kyle Whittingham for his knowledge and keep using him to help recruiting and his legacy. And we can turn this over to Morgan Scalley, and he can bring a fresh set of eyes to this football program to take it to the next level.
That was part of the letter. Where
Absolutely.
They put it in the contract there that he was not able to take on any job, paid or unpaid, in the state of Utah before 2028.
Yeah.
That's the key part there that Utah messed up on. They said before 2020 in the state. That's where they messed up.
But allowed jobs outside of the state.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, the university was just ready to put a fresh set of eyes and a fresh person at the helm to run this program. And I think there might be some truth to that. You know what I mean? Kyle Whittingham did a great job, and he got this football program to where it is, and he coached it. But I think that with the talent that he's able to bring in, I think that it was just that's as far as he could take it. Now I'm not saying that he can't do better things with Michigan, because he's going to have much better talent in Michigan. He took a lot of great players. He took a lot of great coaches. But with what the resources that he had at the University of Utah, I think he is plateaued. And I think it needed somebody to put a fresh set and a fresh opinion, and just they needed a change, right? And it's like they weren't trying to do Kyle Whittingham dirty. They were trying to do it the right way and make sure that his legacy as a Utah man stayed intact. And all of this coming out, I don't know if it'll tarnish his reputation, because I think as a Utah football fan, I don't know if I'll ever have sour feelings for the way that this all went down, right? Yeah, he did take a lot of coaches, and he took a lot of things that made that, a lot of players that he'd recruited that were great players that, Morgan Scalley had coached up and made into great players.
Right, that the team was expecting and the school was expecting, the program was expecting to maintain in this transition.
Absolutely. Period. But yeah, that's my opinion. That's what I tell everybody. Realistically, I just think that his ability to take this team to the next level has plateaued. I don't think he had any more in him to take this team any further.
I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. And then one of the things that I've been hearing a lot when it comes to not only just, podcasts that with people in the know that I've listened to, that I follow, and you probably follow the same ones, and the people that we've been speaking to that have knowledge up on the Hill, is that the University of Utah was just kind of tired of Kyle Whittingham being the end-all, be-all of this program.
Yeah.
It just got to the point where, it's time for, like you mentioned, time to move on. Can he achieve greatness elsewhere? Absolutely. But I definitely think his time had run out here at the University of Utah as the head coach. You know, it's could it have happened earlier? I think it should have.
Yeah.
This is definitely, I don't think if the team didn't struggle the way it did, he probably would have retired. I mean, he mentioned that retirement was on the table,
Yeah.
but he just didn't want to go out like that. So we figured 10-2 season, he might retire after that. Just come out and say like he's stepping down and then immediately taking a head coaching job somewhere else was kind of blindsided. Now the full story has been released on why we now know why that is the case. He
Yeah.
wasn't done coaching football, and he, basically it's like, oh, okay, well, you folks were ready to move on. I guess I'm ready to move on too. I don't think there's going to be any sour blood. I think this is one of those things, just like Coach Sloan, very similar situation with Coach Sloan. He kind of ran his course in Utah, for the Utah Jazz, and honestly stayed on longer than he should have. The game kind of changed.
Longer, yeah.
And I think in college football, the game has kind of changed as well. Like you need, at the University of Utah, you need somebody who's going to be more specific to the NIL, not the traditional recruiting route that Coach Whittingham's better at. At Michigan, he's going to have a brand behind him that's going to help out with that kind of side of things. That's going to be a little bit more.
He's going to have a brand and NIL money behind him.
Yes, exactly. Which he didn't really have here at Utah. So
well, and the whole brand that he had here at Utah, he built.
Exactly.
He was the brand at Utah.
Yeah. So just similar to like the Coach Sloan situation, I think this is going to die down over time.
Yeah.
And he's going to be known for the legacy that he left behind, not necessarily his messy exit.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, and I really do look forward to the different set of eyes and the fresh approach that I think Morgan Scalley can bring. I think that we have lots of options as far as this team can be really good, and I think Morgan Scalley has the ability to take him to the next level.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and hit a few comments here before we move on. Mark Harden is a terrible AD, and Whittingham peaked in 2019 and would have retired by now if not for Cam Rising's resurrecting his career in 2023, especially 2024 with the inexhaustible coaching jobs. Yeah, I'd have to there's a little bit of truth to that for sure, because there's part of that where back-to-back years University of Utah was on a fifth string quarterback and he was just trying to get through. There might have been a chance there where hey, once Cam Rising comes back, we're gonna make a run for this one more time. We're gonna try to either finish off the Pac-12 as conference champions and we'll just ride off with the sunset then, or his first year in, and then just everything went a different direction.
Yeah, the next comments are exactly it too.
We got the next one here from Greg Hawkins. I will never miss the will he won't he game Whittingham play with Rising for
3 years.
Yeah, and I believe the University of Utah got fined for that, didn't they? Because just like everything else, everything's owned by the betting houses now, and so if you're not letting out to know who's playing before hours before the game starts,
yeah,
it's becoming an issue. So I know he didn't like playing that way. So yeah, I'm right there with you though. I hated that. I hated seeing Cam Rising warming up on the field in pads and just not have him in the game at all.
Yeah,
I got really tired of seeing that. If he's not playing, he's not playing. Let us know.
And we did a lot of talking about that too.
Yes.
I mean, you go back to some of our previous videos, and we talked a lot about will Cam Rising play. It was it was the biggest story because we just didn't know what was going to happen, and it was all based on Kyle Whittingham and his reports of if he's ready to go, he's a game time decision, and if the doctors say yes, he's going to play, and that was it.
Yeah, and then game time happens, and he's not out there.
Yeah,
it was awesome. Whittingham has a brand and NIL money now, and still chooses to recruit out of Lehigh and Drake.
It's where he's comfortable, man. That's where he's going to go. Absolutely.
Exactly. Why? I totally get that.
Yeah.
His mansion in Michigan's not ready yet. And this is my favorite one. I'm not salty. I'm kind of salty. Yeah, I'm 100% right there with you, man. Yeah, I just think it's kind of funny because that is something we hear a lot about. Why? And we thought that too. If he wasn't going to play at Utah, or coach at Utah, we thought he was going to retire.
Yeah.
And so to come out,
he'd just be done.
He would just be done. And then, this whole thing comes out, and then, after the arrest / firing of the Michigan head coach there, and then Whittingham emerges as the top candidate, you're like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not done.
Yeah.
Maybe I can just, step out of this advisory role and make a run at it.
Yeah.
And maybe he had a bit of sour grapes and now has something to prove.
Yeah.
in a Big Ten school.
And maybe it kind of reignited that fire for him for Utah to say, hey, we're ready to move on. You know what I mean? Like we're ready for Morgan Scalley to take the reins and start leading this team to the direction we wanted to go, which is we want to win a Big 12 championship. We want to do it next year. These are all the things we think we can accomplish, and we're just not sure you're the guy for it.
Yeah.
Like as a head coach, I'm sure you're like, challenge accepted. Watch this. I'll go win the Big Ten.
Yeah. Watch him do it too.
It's the toughest conference in college football. Of course that's exactly what he wants to do.
Yeah. Watch him do it too. He's got the talent. He's got the money.
And he's a great head coach.
And he's a great coach.
Yeah.
We want to see it, man. Love to see it. Again, we want to hear from you folks. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments down below when it comes to this whole situation. We want to hear from you on anything regarding this, his departure, all these records that are coming out after. What are your thoughts on all this? We want to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Let us know your thoughts. Yeah, without burning sources or anything like that, we kind of understood the writing on the wall for this already. The people in the room, the money in the room, were ready to move on from Whitt, and they were basically holding back the purse strings, and basically said, as long as Whitt's in charge, we're not giving you another month. We're not spending.
We're not going to make that many changes.
Yeah,
and we're definitely not paying him even more money to do the same thing again.
Yes, which if you really think about it, Utah is getting a steal with that guy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and realistically, they countered him with $8 million and to move him into an advisory role.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
that is literally just like, here, take our money, help Morgan Scalley however you can.
$8 million, like, come on now, that's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah,
and his current contract, he did have if he chose to retire, he was still getting paid $3.5 million
for like 3 more years.
For 3 more years.
Yeah.
So, no crying for Coach Whitt, that's for sure. Let's go ahead and move on over to some more happier news, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So this was an article that was in Sports Illustrated, which is fantastic. I think Sports Illustrated does a great job covering college sports, and not just because they seem to have a shining towards the University of Utah.
No. It's my favorite place to read Utah news, man.
I know. Just like they seriously need to reach out to you for commentary. Because
I really think they should.
You're the internal
SI, if you're watching, I got you.
You're the internal Utah optimist.
Yeah.
So,
but explain why I'm the eternal Utah optimist and how this story syncs up so good.
So for this article on SI.com, we'll link to it in the description down below if we can bother to remember. Stating what it says is it states that the FanDuel's Sportsbook released their odds on who's going to be winning the conference. Shocker to no one that the defending conference champions, Texas Tech, is holding on the top spot at a negative 115 on odds to repeat. But coming in a distant number 2 is the University of Utah at plus 700.
Hey, Darren, where did I have Utah finishing this year in the top 5 rankings in the Big 12?
I'm going to have to check. I'm going to link down below. I think you
actually, you know what? I'll edit this one. I'll put the video right here.
Okay.
Right here. You guys check it out.
Yes. So there you go. You had the University of Utah taking second behind Texas Tech.
Crazy.
Funny how that works.
Crazy. And betting odds. And for the record, this was before this article came out.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. This is way before betting odds came out.
It was posted on the internet.
Absolutely.
You nailed it, dude. You nailed it.
I have Utah as the number 2 team in the conference.
Okay. So why don't you explain to us why that is? What's the justification behind this?
The biggest justification is this team is returning enough key players all the way through that they are going to be able to make a difference in every single game. And their over-under at 8.5 wins is too low. Like you take the over on that every single time. And this team, when they got back Bird Ficklin and Devin Dampier, you knew this team could continue to make a run, right? Regardless of who the offensive coordinator is. I think Jason Beck is great. And we just got a comment about the offensive coordinator, but Jason Beck, as great as he was and as great as he used Devin Dampier, I think that Kevin McGivern will be able to do the exact same thing. I think that he's going to be able to get the best out of these 2 quarterbacks. Braden Pegan is a great player. And I've been watching the University of Utah, their spring camp. I watch every single video, and he's already talking about the chemistry that he's got with Pegan. And just like I predicted in the video, I think he's going to be one of their top receiving targets. Morgan Scalley defenses are always tough. this team is still going to be hard-nosed. They're still going to be relentless, smart, nasty ball hawks, just like Morgan Scalley. He's coaching nothing but relentless effort. That is what you need from a Utah football team, and they have a favorable schedule. They, you miss TC or you miss Texas Tech this year, and when the first time you're going to see them could potentially be in a Big 12 championship game, that's where you want it to be, on a neutral field. I'm all in, man. I mean, that's the reason that they're there.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that one. Let's go ahead and hit that comment from Greg Hawkins. I'm not sold on the offensive coordinator. I'll have to see it before I believe it. 100% agree on that, man.
But I would say, Greg, go watch some Utah State games from last year, because if you see what he did with Bryson Barnes and the player that he made Bryson Barnes into, we watched a ton of Bryson Barnes over the last couple of years.
That guy?
And that's just it. Like, he made him use his legs more, because Bryson Barnes was always a strong runner. He wasn't fast, but he was crafty. He could move. If you go watch those, just a few of those games, even just the highlights of those games, you see how crafty he is with offense. And it gives you a lot of hope. I mean, it gave me a lot of hope. I'm just like, okay, with the talent that Utah has, this is what we needed.
Yeah, I agree with you on a few things. One, definitely the favorable schedule is definitely playing in their favor for sure.
Absolutely.
When it comes to that on this. Another one is also Utah is close to finishing a $500 million private equity deal with Otro Capital.
Yep.
Which might have something to do with that.
It sure does help competitiveness when you got a little bit of money to spend.
Yeah, so I think that also plays a big part of it. So if that's to happen before the season starts, expect that to move the needle a little bit for a lot of folks that would choose to come to Utah for sure, or just simply put Utah in a great light going forward. It's also worth noting, folks, that on the same thing that BYU is right on them, and this is no soaking reference for those people down south, but they also have a 750 odds, so they are right behind the University of Utah.
Correct.
So
yeah, spot on.
BYU is right is neck and neck.
I said they were number 3.
That's true. Again, nailing it, dude. Nailing it all day. All day, AJ.
That's what I'm here for, man. For my expertise.
It's great.
You know what I mean?
It's great. A little victory lap for AJ on this part of the episode.
I'll take it, man. You know what I mean? Because that video didn't get watched very much, but I was waiting to be trashed in the comments on that one. So.
Yeah, exactly.
But now we got some backup. You know what I mean?
There you go. So we'll link that one, and we'll link this one to that one.
Yeah, FanDuel says I'm right. So
exactly. When are they wrong? Yeah. And hashtag never sponsor us.
Please don't. Yeah.
As a reminder, folks, we did launch a channel specifically for the University of Utah. Call it the Utah Football DNA. All of our Utah football content will be placed here. So if you're watching this on our live stream or on our main channel, DNA Sports Recap, a link to Utah Football DNA will be in the description down below. If you're listening to this on the podcast, same thing there in the description. Check out Utah Football DNA if that's what you're here for. Be sure to subscribe to that.
Like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you guys think.
Exactly. We'll be giving away something once that channel hits 1,000 subscribers. So be sure to check it out.
Yep.
Think your tickets or maybe some kind of giveaway. We'll give away something.
We'll give away something. Just like and subscribe. Do the things.